Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is doing good today. Good to see you all. So, hello and welcome. I am Tina Patterson, Principal Attorney at Patterson Justice Council in Detroit, Michigan. We're pursuing justice as our business. We help people protect their property, have their rights respected, and leave legacies to their lineage. We do this because we believe the law should be used as a tool for construction rather than destruction. This month, we've been discussing key concepts that are critical to our experience of life and why it is necessary to fight to keep these items in our favor. Last week, we talked about a key asset that is often undervalued, but crucial when it is under attack, and that is the home, our property. So today, we'll discuss 3 key rules to keep in mind when dealing with a legal situation that involves our homes and our properties. I'm going to get right into it today. The first rule is not to walk away from your property. Do not walk away from your property. We touched on it a little bit last week, but once again, it's worth repeating. Property is among the most valuable asset in any investment portfolio, and it is too important to give up without a fight for your rights. Because land is such a valuable asset, many statutes of limitations, which are the deadlines when filing a court action, that deal with property disputes are much longer than the usual, maybe 3 to 6 years for other matters, like a contract dispute or like a slip and fall kind of case, an accident. In fact, the statute of limitations, particularly right here in Michigan, which is where I'm licensed to practice, for many property disputes can range from 5 to 15 years. And that's not uncommon when it's dealing with property, especially 15 years, depending on what the situation is. So therefore, cases involving property can last for years in the court system, and it protects land rights without needing to give up the land immediately. Because it's so valuable, the time is extended to be able to work things out. So that's rule number 1, is do not walk away from the property. Whatever is going on, get ahead of it. Don't walk away from it. Number 2, you want to secure and preserve title. Homes are often the largest asset left to be distributed after death and can pass from generation to generation. Again, we touched on a little bit of this last week as well, giving each new generation an economic base of support. So we want to preserve this critical asset by ensuring that the deed, which is the ownership and the title to the property, are clear and properly ensuring that they're transferred upon death. With estate planning, vehicles like will, a trust. There are many different ways to do it. And we'll get to how you can really get into that a little bit later. But the main idea is that you want to make sure that it is accounted for. Don't just leave it out there in the open for question. Make sure that you have the paperwork correct and clear, so we know who the owners are and that they can properly claim that ownership and all the rights to it. Okay. Rule number 3, this is our last rule, but stick around. Rule number 3, when facing government action, treat it as an injustice, not an inconvenience. And we're talking specifically about government because obviously the property is tied to government. You pay the property taxes every year, even if the mortgage is free and clear, you're still paying property taxes. If there's nobody left to take the home, if it was never properly distributed in a will or a trust or some other kind of estate planning procedure, guess where it's going to go? It's going to revert right back to the government. So that's why this is very important to keep in mind. Government actions are always circulating out there when it comes to property. But for government actions such as issuing blight tickets, other kind of violations while you still are in possession of the property, these can accrue for very minute reasons. Again, during the time in which the owner is in the process of clearing or friending the issue, such as debris. A lot of times somebody might be doing a renovation and they leave something out on the street and get ticketed for it, something like that, and it can add up, and that's what you don't want to do. It is a nuisance at the very least, right? But the reason why you don't want to neglect it is because it can snowball into an extreme offense that can cause the property owner to just give up entirely or to avoid the continual distribution of the tickets. So, kind of I'm trying to do my best, but I'm not doing anything right. That kind of mindset can set in. And the same is true of a homeowner or any property owner facing kind of like excessive taxes, again, or other adverse government action. But let's go back to rule number 1. Don't walk away from the property. Do not give up on the property. Do not be intimidated, most importantly. Treat your matter as if it is one of an unacceptable injustice rather than an annoying or minor inconvenience. And I say this because the government authority will not give up on trying to get what they want out of you. So you don't give up on whatever rights that you have, whatever defenses you have. A lot of times people think that, oh, well, government's coming after me. I can't do anything. I have to accede to whatever they're wanting. And that's not true. I've had cases where the government took property away, but we were able to get it back. The government was threatening all kinds of back tickets, and we got them dismissed. Nobody had to pay anything. The government was threatening demolition on a home, but we got them to back away. Okay, there are options out there, but you have to be very proactive about it, and you have to be, more than anything, committed. You have to be committed to the action that is going to take to overcome these hurdles and these obstacles. And it's not easy. It can be stressful and difficult, but it's always possible. It's always possible if you give yourself that chance. And the bonus rule number 4, which will also help you to give yourself that better chance, is to secure representation early in the matter. Early, okay? Legal representation. When dealing with matters involving land, don't wait until a lengthy court dispute has already taken place and it's kind of gotten out of your hands. You thought maybe you can go in it on your own, but now some things are happening that you don't know how to prevent or you don't know how to overcome. Don't wait until it gets to that point. Securing proper counsel early will help to avoid cleaning up a mess that has already happened. So I can speak from my own experience in representing clients that have had property disputes and issues. The further ahead you get for it, you get in front of it, the less you have to clean up on the back end. A lot of times there's already a judgment coming down against my client, and sometimes we can overturn that. That's happened. But sometimes, depending on what the client has done, that's just kind of set in stone. But the earlier, the better. The clients that have secured right away, or, hey, this is potentially coming up as an issue, we can get that done because nothing adverse has really happened. So it's more of a neutral and level playing field as opposed to all these actions have already happened. So now not only do we have to come up here to take it down, we have to go above it, right, to make sure it doesn't happen, as opposed to we're just starting off on the surface. We can get our answers and our position all the way up here before they can move here. So it's that kind of scales of justice kind of thing. The more you put down on it for yourself, the better off you'll be. Okay, so again, like I said, often an adverse action has already occurred before a client will finally retain counsel. Another reason to secure early is because when this happens, valuable defenses and appeal options have often expired, and legal counsel must then make the most of whatever is left instead of working with a full set of options and possibilities from the start. So a lot of times clients are looking at just what's in front of them, right? And justifiably so, right? We're looking at the problem as it is right now. But for lawyers, we're looking at the problem as it is now, but we're also looking at the problem as it could be against our client, and also as it could be for our client. And depending on these factors, there's another set of decisions to make, right? So we always have that legal strategy in the back of our mind, okay? And that does involve very technical legal defenses. Can I say that this is actually the case and be defended against whatever this action is? Appeals. Okay, well, if my case isn't going well in the court it's in front of, how can I get it to a higher court to potentially overturn it? These are the options that are always in good legal representation in the mind of counsel. But if you don't act on it right away, you might be minimizing or just altogether eliminating these options. So that's why it is to your advantage to retain legal counsel early to get the full range of legal strategies and remedies before an action begins. And a lot of times I'll hear too, well, I couldn't afford an attorney right away. Well, that's fine, right? But something's going to happen. I've heard that quite a few times. And one case I'm thinking in particular, couldn't afford an attorney right away. So save money on attorney fees, but got hit with a 5-figure judgment immediately with no defense, no appeal options, nothing, just pretty much liable for that now. So you save legal fees, but guess what? You're getting an automatic judgment against you of at least $10,000. I've seen others where, couldn't afford right away, but try to do the best they could. Land was taken away from them. So you have to really think to yourself, well, who do I want to pay? And when? Do I want to pay this party that is suing me, saying that I did these wrong things, and I'm going to pay them just out of pocket? Or do I want to pay somebody that's actually going to fight against that to get that taken away in my favor? I mean, it's just um, a decision of who and when, not really even how much. Okay, so keep these questions in mind. So again, also, as always, obtain competent legal counsel who will act in your best interest to resolve the matter. If you feel like this person is not really listening to me, and there's a difference between competency and just you going with somebody that you want them to do what you want them to do. So somebody who's going to really listen and understand and give you your full range of options is different than somebody who has no clue, but it's also different from somebody who's telling you something you might not like, excuse me. So a lot of times I will just tell my clients, hey, I think we should go this route. We might have some hiccups along the way, but I think we can get on the other end of it. As opposed to, well, let's just do this and don't question it, right? So somebody who's going to know their stuff, but also be in communication with you about what's going on throughout the matter. And who's going to be able to tell you, hey, I'm not going to do this because I don't think that this is going to be in your best interest. They always have to keep the best interest at heart. Okay. And when you connect with the right person to do that, then and when you look for those factors, you'll know when you found them. Okay. So that's going to conclude the video today. Again, land rights are too important to give up when facing an action that may threaten your ownership. Do not be intimidated by government action like ticketing or taxes or bad behavior of businesses like banks, when facing a low home appraisal, right? They do that as well. Protect and preserve your property now and for future generations. If you are facing what even may seem like a minor issue, treat it as if it is an injustice, not an inconvenience. And then finally, get proper, competent legal guidance early, because delaying competent legal representation only limits the tools in your legal arsenal, and it diminishes your range of solutions and possibly your chances of success in keeping your property. So don't be your own biggest downfall. Okay? Act in your best interest accordingly first. All right, so I hope that information is helpful, is enlightening. If you like the video, share it with a friend, like it, and subscribe to the channel. We're live every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, we'll see you next time. Take care.